Over to the Spiritual Broadcast Network. It's the go-to place for all things spiritual. You'll discover internet television shows that you won't find anywhere else. You can also choose from hundreds of hours of spiritual documentaries and movies. You'll enjoy on-demand and live internet television programming 24/7. Best of all, we add new dramas, comedies, talk, and reality shows and more on a daily basis. So why spend countless hours searching the web when you can quickly find just what you want on the Spiritual Broadcast Network?
Thank you for tuning in to Shift Happens TV. Join us each Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we take you on a metaphysical journey. Be enlightened and entertained as we take you through life, love, and beyond in an inspiring and humorous way. Live your life with no regrets and die laughing.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Shift Happens, where we enlighten, entertain, and shift consciousness one show at a time. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Connie Jordan with my husband, Martin Jordan. We're your hosts, and we have a great guest today. We're going to take you on one heck of a ride, I think. We're going to be talking about some really great topics.
Going to be interesting.
Topics that we don't have a whole lot of knowledge in. We've heard of a lot of this information, but it's not real familiar to us, so I'm really excited about today's show and really kind of shifting our consciousness a little bit as well. Yeah. Martin and I, this is our last show for right now, but we'll be on Blog Talk Radio starting tomorrow, and then it'll be every Tuesday after that at 4 p.m. EST. So please tune into that, and we'll be taking call-ins there as well.
Yep.
Martin and I will also be in Fort Lauderdale this upcoming weekend, which is October 27th, right?
Yes.
That's right. And we're going to be in Hollywood, and we're also going to be in Fort Lauderdale. We'll be doing our fairy workshop in Hollywood on the 27th, and we're going to do a pre-form regression at Ocean Therapy on Sunday, which we've never done before.
It's new stuff.
And new stuff.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. To find out where we're going to be, just go to pureheartspace.com, and you can get all the information of where we're going to be, what's going on, our newsletter, different videos, and don't forget to check out the archives. We've had fantastic guests all through the past 9 shows.
Absolutely. It's been a
We've learned an awful lot.
For us.
Yeah, we've learned an awful lot, and while we might be saying goodbye for right now, we plan on coming back in the future.
Yes.
All right, so today's guest, and I have to read this because...
Sorry.
Yeah, Martin, unprepared, not embodied today.
So sorry.
So I don't know, Martin might be able, maybe Sharon can help us explain what's the energies that are going on Earth. But our guest today is Reverend Sharon Elizabeth James. She's a native New Yorker and underwent 4 years of intense metaphysical and spiritual training. Now, when she was 2.5 years old, she experienced cosmic consciousness. This was the seed that was planted in her young mind those many years ago. She has always been aware of the invisible realms that are a part of and integrated with life here on Earth. Now, she is the president and founder of Zanco Personal Resources and Consulting Services, a human resource and consulting company here in Sarasota. So I'd like to welcome Sharon Elizabeth to our show.
Welcome,
Sharon.
Sharon.
So much.
Studio.
Thank you. It's wonderful being here.
I know, right? We have like somebody
awesome.
in studio.
Oh, and thank you, babe, for not slapping my wrist too bad.
That'll be later.
On public. Okay.
I'm not making any promises.
Not on TV.
Not on TV.
It'll be
No
later.
documentation.
Yeah, that can be used against me in a court of law. Right. So I know that there's so many topics that we could talk about, but we have, I guess the latest, you had a trip in June to England.
Yes, I did.
And you were telling us about it before you went.
Right.
And what I found fascinating, and I couldn't wait to hear, is that you were told that something would be there for you.
That's right. That's right.
By the time you got there or while you were there, correct?
Exactly. Well, let me kind of go back a bit. And actually, well, it's been ongoing as we all walk our path. But at one juncture on the path, what happened was I first got this very strong impression that this was actually July 16th of 2007 is when I implemented the anchoring light meditation.
Which is, that's 2 days after my son was diagnosed.
Okay, interesting. And so, because it's this past July 16th, 2012 was exactly 5 years. Mm-hmm. And this impression came in so strongly that was to get a group or form a gathering of some kind that if I put out the word light worker, a gathering of light workers to anchor light, that would resonate to certain people.
Right.
The initial goal was to find out who the other light workers were to network, and also to bring them together to anchor light to our planet. And of course, as all of us walk through this path, it's like, what? Who? Me? I don't know. Where do I start?
Yeah.
And of course, as you get past that fear and finally surrender, you see that the path is open for you, and all you have to do, as I say, is follow the spiritual breadcrumbs, and it'll get you where you need to go.
Show up.
Yeah, exactly. Show up. So after that happened, and yes, it drew people from various areas from the community. Actually, there's a anchoring light newsletter that I do every now and again that has gone beyond the community and so forth.
Kind of like us, or every now and then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the energy just
digging
kind of goes out and it spreads out, and people tap into it who are resonant at that particular time. And in that process of now anchoring these every Monday without fail, whether it's a hurricane, threat of a hurricane, tsunami, whatever it is, the anchoring light will take place every Monday without fail at 7:45
You've had great
p.m.
pictures, too, I've
Yes.
noticed.
Yes, and all kinds of things. So that's the time when the orbs started coming up
Yeah.
and all these
Yeah.
different things and so forth. So interestingly enough, it was during this time that I got this impression very strong to go to Lake Titicaca in Peru. And honestly, I must have missed geography in school that particular day when they talked about Lake Titicaca, because honestly, I didn't even know there was a Lake Titicaca.
I can hear my son laughing.
And I couldn't even pronounce it. Lake Tutututu, Tititi, it says Lake Titicaca. Anyway, released again, spiritual breadcrumbs, it all came together. And then after that, I was told, you'll be back. Sure enough, I was back, but this time to Bolivia, Lake Titicaca and Pumapunku. And I feel all of this is to receive ancient wisdom, ancient codes, almost like many feel that this could be ourselves that were in the past or in the future. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That these
Oh,
are
yeah.
little clues.
Yeah.
That is stuff that we are to know in this moment in time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Lake Titicaca, Peru, Pumapunku in Bolivia, that was for 10-10-10. I was here in Sarasota, Florida for 11-11-11. So far it was 9-9-9, 10-10-10. But then there was nothing. And then I got very strongly the impression to go to England, and specifically to crop circles, which wasn't necessarily like, oh, I want to go to a crop circle.
Oh, so I didn't know that. So
No.
that was not familiar for you
No,
either.
I was
That
like,
just-
okay, I
oh.
knew of them.
Right,
It wasn't
like
like
us.
I was a crop circle groupie or
Yeah,
anything
okay.
like that.
Oh, I didn't know
But they're
that.
out there.
Yeah, they are. Neither was the fact of me climbing up the Andes, okay, in
Right.
South America. You know, I'm more of the sit by the ocean and
Room
sip a
service.
pina colada type of person. So chomping up the Andes was not exactly my thing. Oh, let's do that. So this was definitely a pulse, which is a good
Okay.
word to use,
Yeah.
that, you know, to do this. So sure enough, I surrendered. The perfect guide, the perfect situation. If you just show up, we have it
Yeah,
covered.
absolutely.
And that was the situation. So we end up going to the Wiltshire area of England, which is the the English countryside.
It's way out. in the
Beautiful, beautiful area. And it was interesting because they had, for the first time, so much water. It rained and rained and rained and rained. And when we arrived, we brought some sunshine from Florida. So it was interesting. But we were kind of chomping in mud there for a while. We had
Yes.
our wellies on, so we were prepared. But one of the reasons of going to England was because a very strong impression did come. And it was for two purposes. One was that there was something important about the stones of Avebury.
Yes.
And the
That's where we wanna
second
go.
was that there was going to be a crop circle that would be of significance.
Yes.
Okay? Now, the year before, no, for 10-10-10, 2 years before in Bolivia, when I get these impressions, you know, all of us are here moving on our path, But I am very discerning. You know, I'm very much a grounded person. I have a 3D, real ground. This is what you must do to survive in this world.
That's what I'm here for. With
Yes.
Like, come back
here. For Bolivia, I put out this information to tell people. I said, we will have an interdimensional experience and trip. And for me, really, I had to, putting it in writing and sending it out there is different. But of course, you must always be in your authentic self. Yeah. In your integrity. Right. And so I had to. And when I came back from Bolivia, we had the pictures to prove it was an interdimensional trip. So now, when I get the impression, yes, Sharon Elizabeth, there will be a crop circle specific to your group, okay, that is going to have significance to you. I just had to take that and run with it. So here we are, a group of 7. And we went to every crop circle that we could. We had the perfect situation. All these trips, when you are guided to do this and you're released to it, you don't have to worry about a thing.
It's like know.
Exactly.
What a great message.
The way is open. Yeah. It's first class, by the way, wonderful.
I got chills.
It's just fabulous. It's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So our guide was Denny Clark. I didn't even know who Denny Clark was, but she turns out to be like one of the top people in the crop circle community that just knows everything, connected to everybody else that knows everything. Yeah. We ended up going to the crop circle conference. I had no clue that was going to happen.
Wow.
The who's who of the crop circle intelligentsia was
Dolores
there.
Cannon was there.
It was all kind of, Lucy Pringle was there. She was one of the first people who started taking pictures of crop circles. Okay. It was just an honor to meet her. Michael Glickman, who is like the godfather of crop circles, who I do have some of his work, who started doing this 22 years ago. We were in his home having tea and crumpets, speaking to this man and sharing this experience. Wow. This is something that I had no clue that was going to happen. Right. So again, it's releasing, getting past the fear, getting past the idea of limitation, and truly releasing into this higher part that's trying to guide us. So I remember the very first crop circle that we went to. It was actually on the 9th of July, which is the day we left for England. And by the time we got there, we heard about this crop circle that took place on the 9th. So we're like, maybe this is the crop circle. Maybe this is the one that's of significance. Turns out that these crop circles are on, obviously, on farmland.
Yes.
And you have happy farmers and not so happy farmers.
Oh, absolutely.
I've heard that.
Yes. So this particular crop circle that happened on the 9th that we thought may be significant, being it was the day that we left, was not a happy farmer. No. And so he said, no, I don't want anybody coming. And he, in fact, they took the tractor and they cut the crop circle out.
Oh, no.
Interestingly, he did it in the formation of the crop circle, but that's a different story. So anyway, we still have to go.
You just have to laugh.
You have to. So we went as far as we could without going past, where we were not permitted to go to, and had to honor the wishes. And the people that we deal with do honor. They have very clear guidelines. When you go into crop circles, you go on the tram lines. You don't go ahead and trample on the
you don't go through the field.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
exactly. Yeah, of course. And so that's why there are certain protocols. Those protocols were put forward by people like Michael Glickman, and say, look, we have to honor and be respectful, of these farmers. That's their livelihood. But anyway, we got to see what the crop circle looked like, because they do take pictures as soon as they can, weather permitting. And so we knew what it looked like. We only got up to a certain point, and we said, you know what? We are going to do our ceremony, our meditation, because, Dewal Kuhl, an Ascended Masters, for those of you who may know the work of Alice Bailey, has said there's nothing more powerful than meditating light workers going to sacred portals around the planet. We open, codes and portals and anchor light. So any place that we were going, that was our plan. I had what was called an altar to go. It was a little
I get that
thing, and just put stuff in it and crystals and do our little thing. I will tell you how powerful this was. we just visualized being in the center, in the eye of this particular crop circle that was formed on July the 9th. And literally, we held hands, and you could feel the energy circling through the group. It was palatable, absolutely palatable. And we, after that experience, we were all kind of blown away because, so we didn't have to be in the crop circle. We just had to intend that we were in it.
Right.
And it was powerful. The next one we went to was the Tetrahedron. And if you can look at www.cropcircleconnector.com, you will see all of these amazing crop circles in the Wiltshire area of England. There's crop circles all around the world, but most certainly the most notable ones that have all this focus at the moment is in England. And we were there, and we did ceremony in a certain point. It happened to be the same place where Lucy Pringle and Jim Lyons, who scientist, mathematician, were doing their scientific experiments. That was the day before. Then when we arrived, we did our, altar to go meditation and ceremony. And then we were very compelled to go to the apex of where the three lines converged. In our meditation, I clearly saw a spinning energy that was going counterclockwise, and it went like an hourglass. It went in, and then it went out. And at the time, I just wrote it down. I shared it with everybody. It was a very, very clear visual. People were picking up various things, like one of the people that were there saw like a step pyramid type of thing. There's a name that goes for it. But we started seeing these different things. Fast forward, we leave. And as it turns out, when I went to the Crop Circle Conference, where Andrew Collins was, I met Andrew Collins. I'm a big fan of his. He was actually there, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm meeting you. Very, very, very wonderful researcher in this area of things, but very well noted in the field, Andrew Collins, and he was there. And very notable people were there. And turns out I have an opportunity to speak with the scientist, mathematician, Jim Lyons, and he's there with his equipment. And I was in that same location, and I got right brain talking to left brain. So right brain says, I had this vision impression of this kind of hourglass thing. And he told me, he said, that is exactly what the equipment picked up, and it was the Diatonic Scale, which I was not familiar with that.
Are you, Martin?
The diatonic, and so it's 7 notes, the 7 colors, so it's octaves. So after you get to 1/7, then you go into the next octave. Very interesting, the information, because one of the things that he had said, that we as creators, and that's before I leave here, I'm going to tell you the big message, that we can actually visualize, tap into that with our own power, our own divine power, and create that diatonic scale that naturally happens at these crop circles. And what's interesting is that birds, when they fly through the air, they cannot go through it. They fly around this force field.
That's interesting.
There's a diatonic that's that. And he said that they did experience with a gentleman who they've been working with, who had this ability to really focus on this energy and creating it. And he was in traffic. He had nothing else better to do, so he started to do it. And sure enough, a flock of birds came. They could not fly through it. They had to go around it. That's a powerful message as to what we're able to do. So that was very, very validating, and it was really wonderful because, I honored his path of finding this out as he honored my path of doing that. So it was kind of like the emergence of right brain and left brain coming together with the same conclusion. So then...
That's happening more, isn't it?
It is. This wonderful convergence is coming together. And so now let me tell you the lesson. So finally we take a plane and we fly over the countryside, and we can see all the different crop
my
circles.
God.
It was
that's
just
cool.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
really
wow.
was
That's
amazing.
neat.
And
That's amazing.
so I see the particular crop. There were so many, but the crop circle that I kind of honed in on was a triangular crop circle that looked like it had the flower of life pattern in it.
Right.
So I remember saying to myself, there's so many lessons that we learn. Oh, I got to make sure to see that crop circle. That crop circle is real important. So the next day, we're going to go to crop circles, and a lot of it depends on the weather, when we could
Right.
go,
Yeah.
what time we could. A lot of
Absolutely.
logistics
It's
are
not
involved
Florida
in this.
weather there.
Right, right. A lot of logistics you have to work around. And so we're going to go and see some crop circles. And by the way, walking through fields and fields and fields. It's not a skip in,
No.
in the park. Okay,
It's exercise.
It's exercise, big time. So the first crop circle we were going to see is what the local people, are calling the Teardrop Cathedral, because what it looks like is like these lines down, and it almost looks like a cathedral or a building of some kind, and what look like teardrops at the bottom. It's just using
Right.
symbols to try to describe what it is. Such a lesson, because maybe I was tired, and a lot of us, when you go on these quests, it is truly a spiritual
It's a
quest.
vision quest, yeah.
Everybody's having their own individual journey as
At the
well as
same
their
time.
collective journey.
Yeah.
So we now get to this point, we're all a little tired, and they say we're going to see this one. I said, I thought we were going to see the triangle one, the flower one. I was like, no, we were supposed to see the triangle one. I said, no, we're going to see this. And for whatever reason, I said, okay, then we're just not going to do any, we won't do spiritual ceremony. I said to myself, what am I talking about? Wherever we go, we have to do ceremony. Interestingly enough, this is the particular crop circle we spend a lot of time in.
Right.
And everybody said, let's go towards the bottom part by the teardrops. I said, no, let's go to the top, right at this top. And there was a pendant that I did buy. It was actually a Cryon conference that was here in Sarasota.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I really felt moved to get this pendant. It wasn't necessarily in my budget,
Right.
but I felt I should get this. It somehow was connected to this trip I was going to take, so I bought it. And I stood in this spot, I had my hands up. There's pictures on Facebook of me doing this. And I took the pendant off and I put it in a spot and I took a picture of it. Of course, we did our sacred ceremony there, and we went on to other crop circles. In this experience, which was just 8 days, we're learning as we go along. And so now we do finally get to the crop circle I wanted to go to.
Right.
And when we get there, very interesting, because there's a young family there with children, and they were having a picnic in the
Nice.
crop circle. I
Gotta
said,
love
Wow.
that.
Really?
how awesome is that? Yes. And of course, these are little kids. They're like 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're running up and down. And so, of course, we found a spot to do our sacred meditation and ground and all of that stuff. And of course, they were making noise, as little kids do. So one person had said, well, maybe we should move. I said, no, we can hold our energy here. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so we just did our thing, and at some point, I guess the parents saw, and they called the kids in. At some point, they left, and we were very deep into the energies of this particular crop circle. And what happened, and we were not aware of, is that a busload, I think they were from Germany, Germans came. And so you can imagine, it was all this chaos with kids and noise and all of that. And when we opened our eyes after the meditation, we looked up, it was all these people around us meditating, doing the same thing. So it just says,
You gotta love that.
I know,
Yeah.
it's just amazing that the
Be a
power and
leader.
the intention that you have and how it affects everything else, and that you can truly come in and control your environment by your intention,
Be a leader.
by your focus.
Now,
Right.
with these crop circles, do they stay permanently? Do they kill the crops there? I mean, I can see why the farmers might get a little pissed about
Yeah.
that.
Right. Okay. When the protocol is followed, and people walk the tram lines, which of course is what the farmers have to walk to get
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Okay, then everything is fine. It's when those people, out of ignorance or not following protocol, trample on the crops, because it is their livelihood, then they
Yeah,
destroy it.
yeah.
Now the crop circle itself, and whatever is doing this, Now, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of misinformation, and of course, there's a whole big thing saying, "Oh, people are doing this." Okay, so they had a thing on TV where two older guys with a rope and a board
I remember.
Right.
made three-dimensional. You can tell the ones that have been man-made.
Oh, yeah.
Versus the ones that have not been man-made because the precision,
It's laser precision.
three-dimensional aspects of this, okay? Two old guys with a rope and a board, I don't think
No.
so. But, perhaps there are those that would like us to think that this is really nothing.
Well, again, it's all about people who want to stay in denial of the
Of course.
changes that are going
Of
on.
course.
And they're trying to find ways to
Of course.
poo-poo it.
Yeah.
Well, to keep the status quo.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a motivation to say, let's just keep them ignorant and stupid and sheeple.
Yeah.
And this is like, hello, 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 we have a
You
sign.
say in words they can understand.
Right. But I will tell
I've
you,
mastered that language. We need to know how to speak that in the age to come.
Yeah, I'm really kind of forgetting.
but what they do, the crops are not damaged whatsoever.
That's what I heard.
Whatever this is. Now they lay down, and I do have the pictures and all of this stuff, and there's a whole scientific presentation also on this gratis of Jim Lyons. Thank you, Jim. And you will see there's a couple important things about these crop circles. First, the crop is not destroyed. So at the end
Wow,
of the season,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
at the end of the season, the only difference is that they're not standing up. They may be laying depending on the pattern, and they come to full fruition.
Wow.
And they go ahead and harvest it at the time. Very interesting, because as some of these crop circles are so intricate, you just say, oh my gosh, how is this even done? But you know
Two
what?
old men and a board.
It's temporary because harvest
very
time,
fast old
they're
men.
gone.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I
a
was
new
wondering, yeah.
season comes
Yeah.
in.
So then the crop circles do end up disappearing when they have to
Exactly.
harvest. Okay.
Exactly. So year is 22. I believe it's 22 years now. This has been going on.
Yeah.
So the crop circles have been evolving as we have. First, they were very simple designs.
Yeah,
They've
right.
become more.
They've
Well,
gotten
this year
very-
has to be important because
Yes.
of the 22.
Exactly.
So this has got to be the last year of something before a new cycle
The world.
Yeah.
because of the 22. And if the crop circles are falling into that 22 this year, then they are going to be important. But this is the last year of something for them.
Very intricate. Now, one of the things I want to share with you about these crop circles, when you actually see them,
We have pictures.
We
People
have
have some
pictures.
pictures.
Visual
And-
aids.
visual aids.
This is the one that was very significant, because I'm going to jump ahead and tell you why it was so significant. So we're looking for what is the special crop circle. And by the way, before I show this, scientifically, they have found that people, for example, who have Parkinson's disease, will go into the crop circle,
Yeah.
and their symptoms stop.
Wow.
While they're in the crop circle, they're fine. They can walk around. They can do. Their symptoms no longer bother them. The minute they leave, over a period of time, whether it's a day later or 2 days later, the symptoms do come back.
Right.
So there's something electromagnetically within the genuine crop circles.
Well,
that's
it's
having an
impervious
impact.
to world energy. It's got its own energy.
Yes.
And it's the way the energy on the planet should be.
Right.
You know, it's almost like when I see crop circles, I always think of Tesla.
Yes,
'Cause
absolutely.
Because I think he worked with that energy, whether he
Yes.
knew it or not.
Yes.
He worked with that kind of energy.
Yes.
Self-contained.
Yeah, so when you're in it, there are things anomalies, what perceived anomalies, which should be normal.
Yes.
Dis-ease is the anomaly, not
Yeah.
the other way around. And when
Yeah.
you are in these crop circles, it brings whatever balance together. So anyway, I'm going to just kind of put this in front of my face over here. And this is right over here was what they called the St. Bernard Cathedral, Teardrop Cathedral,
Right.
because they
It
look
does.
like little
They do.
teardrops
Yeah.
here, and it kind of looks like a cathedral. So as I was saying, I was right at this spot.
Wow.
Now, what's going to be helpful, let me show it in this artist whose name is Nakayo Nakar. actually did this. That same crop circle, but it's more visual for you to see.
Ooh, it looks like Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, doesn't
From,
it?
from a,
Yes,
like,
Right,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
doesn't it?
So right at this spot was where, I put the, this spot over here is where I put the little pendant that I told you about.
Right.
A couple of hours later, I actually met Chet Snow, that's very well known in the metaphysical community, and he takes various quest trips to France and places like this, and his wife Calista were staying in the same place that we were staying. And myself and our guide Denny Clark, I got to meet him. I've heard about him, and he said, oh, we heard, because a lot of times you can't see it yet. Somebody says, I think there's a crop circle that just
Right.
happened. So when we had this experience,
Like
the
storm
next
chasers, only for
morning,
crop
yes,
circles.
exactly what it's like. Is there over there is a crop circle. Where is it?
I'm standing beside one right now.
Right. Okay. Text that to everybody, to the whole network.
I'm feeling one being made.
So Danny received that wording, and there's this, there's a crop circle, and we understand it's by the Teardrop Cathedral. So we were just there
Right.
that afternoon, later that day. And so when I met Chet, he said, did you guys do any kind of meditation, or did you do any kind of, I said, yes. He says, because a lot of times when that happens, the energy, there's this extension. I didn't even know you had extensions to crop circles.
Just when you thought you understood it.
I thought,
it's like,
and then here there
darn.
are extensions. I'm like, extensions? So this crop circle, the original one, which was the cathedral-looking one,
Right.
was there for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hours after we left, this section appeared, the top section appeared.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Now, we did not see it the next day because it was raining. So we're saying, what does it look like? What does
Yeah.
it look like? So it wasn't until we were back in the States in Atlanta, changing planes to come, that we were able to look on the internet and see it for the first time.
Wow.
And,
That's kind of cool.
it was really...
You think, if we were sitting, you think we would have noticed something like that if it was there.
And it was pretty profound, because you really have to wrap your mind about this. There's one party that says, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
But seriously, it has to happen at some point. Why
Yeah.
not that point?
And, it's getting
You know.
past our own, limitation, or the ego wanting to stay in control, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah,
who do you
but-
think
but
you are?
here's-
You think
here-
you could do that?
But
Come
here's the
on.
deal with that as well. Like if you take a computer in to get it fixed, and you say, what happened is, I don't know, it was working yesterday.
Yeah.
At some point, stuff is going to break down. There is a point.
That's true.
It's something that you look at and go, well, it was working yesterday. Well, it's not today.
Right.
And it's the same with the crop circle. There
Right.
had to be some point
Right.
where that was going to be designed anyway.
Right.
I think what freaked a lot of people out, because I did some reading on that particular crop circle, was how quickly
Yes.
it was formed.
Yes.
Because it almost like, okay, we're not going to take a long time to do this. This needs to be done
Like
now.
pronto.
Yeah. It's almost like a flower just sort of,
Yes. Boop.
yeah.
So our reaction out of all the crop circles we did see, and they all had their tremendous significance, this was the one,
Yeah.
obviously, that
Obviously.
they said that this would have significance. And what is the significance? Well, it took time, and when I got back, I actually did get sick. I had to be in bed, to
that's right,
integrate
yeah.
this, just
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
and process it. And this is the message. The message, as I understand it to be,
Yeah.
is the circle makers. Okay, they say, look, we can't do this unless you do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole concept of entanglement. I said, what are crop circles? I feel that crop circles are part of our own consciousness, where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And as we project that out, there are others connected to us.
Mm-hmm.
And together we are creating this circle, this designs, which is like, I feel like, biofeedback.
Yes.
It's like,
Right.
here you are.
Yeah. It's not important for us to understand it as much as it is to be in it
Exactly.
and let it affect you.
Exactly.
Because you don't need to know, well, what does this do? What does it? No, just let it affect you. It knows what to do.
Exactly. And I feel so blessed, because even from our journey and doing these anchoring light meditations through a channel. And I would always be, my that part of my brain, what is this? Who is this? How is this happening? And I got clearly, you know what? You don't have to understand everything. And that's where faith comes in.
Yeah.
Because you can't understand
because
everything.
Andrew said to me after he passed, it's more important to accept before you understand.
True.
Because if you don't accept it, understanding it's not going to help you to accept it.
absolutely.
Understanding is going to help you to get more confused about it or question it.
Yes.
You know what it is too? It's also just about, because you just know, even because especially being in the hospital with Andrew when he was telling me about the 4 avatars in the TV, and he was telling me what they were saying to him. All I kept thinking was, I wish I could record this because I'm never going to remember it, but every cell in my body knew it was the truth, even though I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And it's just about that knowing and trusting what you're, this is why we have these feelings, is we don't have to understand, just trust what you're feeling.
Right. And communication comes in various levels. We are limited in the 3D world to a certain light spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Yeah.
Where the true light spectrum is way larger than that.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're just getting like little pieces of the puzzle. And I truly value where, the concept of faith, that inner knowing, to say, I may not understand it all, but I sense and feel that this is a direction we should go into, because we can't understand it all.
But there's something else out there, too. I was thinking about it the other day when they're saying, scientists. Well, I'm a scientist. I'm trained as a scientist. And I believe everything that I see spiritually in my world is able to be explained scientifically. And maybe because I follow Tesla, not Einstein. Maybe because I follow certain philosophers, and maybe I'm a Jungian philosopher, not a Freudian philosopher. Maybe because I follow the right scientists, that they have been able to explain this in a scientific way so that you go, oh, then that makes sense spiritually as well.
Right.
For me.
And I think, a lot of it, like shamans have been around since the beginning of time.
Oh, absolutely.
And science is now beginning to pick up what perhaps shamans have always known, because, if you're going to put yourself into a very specific grid of where you can operate.
Well, it's like you said, you bring that spectrum in, and you only work within the bounds.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist outside there.
Right.
Go
and
there,
this is so
out.
much more. Exactly.
That's what I've always believed.
I think the message is really huge.
Yes.
In that the message is that we are powerful co-creators. We are powerful, powerful co-creators, and the support and the impression and the love that's coming is that we really need to be in our power. We need to we need to own our power and step into the truth of who we really are as divine, magnificent beings.
Yes.
And that we have the ability to create the world we want. We have the ability. It's in us. And if we say, we are the ones that we're waiting for. That's really the truth. It's us.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're like waiting, like, hello. We're waiting for you to make a move, so we can make a move.
You see, that's what Connie and I believe, that the avatars are here.
Yes.
They're on this planet right now.
Yes, they are.
Oh, we know our son
And
was
the
not the
doctor
only
has
one.
landed.
Yes.
The TARDIS has landed somewhere.
Yes.
I mean, and the readings that Martin's been doing, some of them are on the other side. Some of them have passed from leukemia, others not. But there's still so many more that are here.
Yes.
And there's a reason why some had to go back and some are staying, for that connection.
My niece, she died very suddenly. It's going to be 2 years. And it was very interesting because in the role as a minister, I have done, celebrations of life, the passing of someone. And I remember this particular time because there was a young one. I know her mom, and in fact, I officiated her wedding. And then just a short time, 2 years later, I remember I got like an email. And it said, can you officiate, a funeral? And I'm like, who are you talking about? And I realized it's this young lady.
Wow.
And I that night, and of course it was very hard because there's so many young people that are there,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
trying to explain and
Yeah.
figure it out.
They don't
And
get it.
you know, was hoping that was able to inspire and know that this is not just this world. There's
No.
a much larger dynamic that's involved.
This is so
And
nuts.
the very next morning, I get a message that my niece died suddenly in a car crash. And both these women were like 22 and 23
Yeah.
years old. So I remember, you know, my niece, you know, a lot of kids are coming into rough circumstances, you know.
Yeah.
It was a situation with the mother and the father, and they're back and forth and, you know, not talking. And, you know, so that's the environment she kind of came in. I was wondering how she was going to even turn out, you know, like, oh my God. You know what? She turned out to be this amazing light
Yeah,
that had the biggest heart and cared about the world.
that's what's happening.
And I almost, you know, felt that she was so special and this amazing light with the biggest heart that she had to do her work on another level.
That's the same thing with our son.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them
And
like that. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, at the eulogy, you know, I just said she's busy working on another level.
Mm-hmm.
She's busy. We were just blessed to have them here for the time that we did.
Start the awakening. of
Exactly.
people to get the ball rolling.
And you
can't
know
be
what? It is an
confined.
awakening. Exactly.
You can't be confined in the meat suit once you start vibrating at that level.
Right.
And we saw that with
Right.
Andrew, and that's what I'll tell people is like he was this amazing Prince Charming.
Yes.
You know, and I'm thinking I raised a healthy male with no baggage, and I should have known that was a fairy tale, that he wasn't going to stay here long because he was really, and then to hear his friends say that he
Yeah.
was really that good.
Yes.
And I think,
Yes.
again, he came here to
It was just a touchdown.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a touchdown.
Setting stuff up on this plane and
Yeah.
then going back. It's almost like like a weather experiment. You know, you tie it off at this end and then you go to the other end.
And he
'Cause that's
has
what the
been
experiment
so,
is.
I mean, we get emails from around the world.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And people thanking us for sharing him and then also allowing us to move on to his higher purpose.
But he is getting really, really serious. The pure heart, what I call the pure heart consciousness, which is not just Andrew. There's a real heavy group.
Like a collective.
It's a collective. and they call
he didn't give
themselves-
us that information until the end of last year.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So it's dribs
Well, we
and
knew his
drabs.
name was Pure Heart when he
Like
ascended.
extensions of the crop circle.
Right. Yeah, that keeps
Okay,
on
you're
adding
ready
and
now,
adding. And,
and
and by
adding
the way,
and
this crop circle had a third extension.
Yes,
So it was
yes.
3 altogether. And there was this whole thing
Makes
about
sense, you know.
trinities, triads, triplicities for me.
Yeah.
And of course, Tesla was into that same thing too with the
Absolutely. You
threes
cannot
and the
turn on
33s,
all
yeah.
the switches at the one time.
No, we all explode. Absolutely. You know, I want to share one other thing too that I remember this. In those special souls that come just to touch down and to teach a lesson and
Yes.
are not to stay long. And my cousin, he went to college and met this beautiful young lady. Now, this was many years ago. And they were deeply in love, and she was pregnant, and they were going to get married. But it was an interracial marriage situation, so there was this really hatred on one side, to the other side. And anyway, make a long story short, what ended up happening was that this beautiful son from these two that really
Yeah.
came from love, but the families are like
Right.
this,
get
just the brightest light and made everybody smile.
Yeah. Oh,
This
that was
little
Andrew.
kid,
Yeah.
3 years old,
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
everybody smile.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this child drowned as a result where back in those days, somebody could take the kid and just leave. It didn't go through the court system, whatever it was.
Right, yeah.
And so when he finds out about this is when the child is
Yeah.
on a respirator. He comes down there, says goodbye just before this beautiful child.
How old was he?
He was 3 years old. 3 years old. Leaves. Now, this was in Connecticut, and when I went to the funeral, kind of being aware, I went to the funeral here. The two families that were at each other's throats because of this perceived separation.
Right.
You're different from me.
Yes.
Okay. Both connected to this one child of beautiful light. Here they are sobbing in the same room
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this, lady's father, and I just felt his unbelievable grief.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he says, all he was love.
Mm-hmm. No room for anything
All
else.
he was love. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him, I said, well, maybe his mission is now complete.
Well, how much time do you think you can spend on a planet like this if you're pure love?
Oh, God.
Not very long.
I don't even know how you touched down.
No, right? You know, seriously.
Really?
Honestly, that's what I believe. And the more sort of plugged in you are to that,
Oh, yeah.
you just have to say, okay, well, I know this is a journey before I run out of oxygen. Or
Okay,
before,
exactly.
you know,
Good way to put
Or
it,
even
yeah.
like Andrew, I mean, he loved it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, at 10 years old, to say the best gift he ever got was his life. Who says that at 10?
Wow.
I'm not sure I'm saying it at 51.
I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh,
well, this is really flown. Actually, we got 5 minutes left. So.
Okay, I want to make sure we get everybody's information. And
Yeah.
now you are at the Cosmic Center of Spiritual
Yes,
Light.
yes. Cosmic Center Spiritual Light. We do have a website, www.cosmiccenterofspirituallight.com. We also have our Facebook page,
Yes.
Cosmic Center Spiritual Light. And
We have Sunday services in the morning at noon.
we have
or
one at
afternoon?
noon. It's called the In-Service Gathering of Light Workers. We do report to work. We specifically and consciously work with the higher celestial realms of light to anchor that here into the planet. There is also a anchoring light meditation, as I told you, every Monday at 7:45. We're located in the Meadows, which is the Meadow Shopping Village in Sarasota, Florida, 5041 Ringwood Meadow. And we do very, very important work. One of the things, too, in the evening is we have a message service. And, of course, Connie and Martin were there.
Baptism by fire.
Yes, this past Sunday evening, and they were so gracious with their love and their
It was
gift.
it really was, though, fun. I mean, some of the spirits
Yeah.
that came through were lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love the fact, what I love about what you're doing here in Sarasota is allowing like people like Martin and I and
Yes.
other metaphysicians to come in and teach their workshops
Yes,
and do all
yes,
this stuff. And
yes.
this is what's great is that it's that bringing
We
everybody.
welcome it. In fact, when we do our advertisements in Transformation Magazine and Natural Awakenings Magazine, it says right on there, we support all those who are contributing to the ascension. Okay, and we are just so thrilled to have
And
Connie and Martin.
contributing is in quotes and underlined.
And I just want to say that you guys were there on Saturday.
Yes.
And I forwarded the email that we received by one of the attendees at your gallery.
Okay.
You know, I just have to tell the audience that I was witness to just how profound the messages unique to that individuals were, and how it touched I could physically and visibly see it. And we had people contact the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light to say, can you please get a message to Martin? What he said was so reaffirming and confirming. My heart is filled with love, this one particular lady said, because it was such a confirmation and a healing for her.
That's why we do this.
So I just want to tell everybody out there just how blessed, we are to have you guys in the service that you do.
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Touches
Thank you so
lives.
Because we love what we do.
Yeah.
So again, if you want to find out where we're going to be,
Thanks, Andrew.
pureheartspace.com is where you'll find out all our schedule, and if you'd like us to come into your area and all that. And we do send out newsletters with messages from Pure Heart. And again, make sure if you're in Sarasota, check out the Cosmic
Center
of Spiritual Light. So until the next time that we see everybody, remember to live your life with no regrets.
And die laughing.
Thank you.
Be sure to hop on over to the Spiritual Broadcast Network. It's the go-to place for all things spiritual. You'll discover internet television shows that you won't find anywhere else. You can also choose from hundreds of hours of spiritual documentaries and movies. You'll enjoy on-demand and live internet television programming 24/7. Best of all, we add new dramas, comedies, talk, and reality shows and more on a daily basis. So why spend countless hours searching the web when you can quickly find just what you want on the Spiritual Broadcast Network?